In recent weeks, the political landscape in the United States has become increasingly turbulent, raising alarm bells among legal scholars and constitutional experts who warn that the nation is on the brink of a constitutional crisis. Prominent law professors, including Erwin Chemerinsky, dean of the University of California, Berkeley Law School, have articulated concerns over the actions of President Donald Trump, which they argue are testing the limits of executive power and defying the checks and balances inherent in the U.S. Constitution. Chemerinsky has been vocal in his assertion that the first weeks of Trump's presidency have seen so many unconstitutional and illegal actions that they signal a significant threat to democratic governance. Among the actions cited by Chemerinsky are the revocation of birthright citizenship, the freezing of federal spending, and the dismissal of government employees protected by civil service laws. Systematic unconstitutional and illegal acts create a constitutional crisis, he noted, emphasizing that the situation is not simply a momentary lapse but a cumulative buildup that could escalate further. Legal experts agree that this crisis is marked by a rapid and chaotic series of executive actions that collectively reshape the understanding of presidential authority. Kate Shaw, a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, warned that the administration's apparent contempt for judicial authority could exacerbate the situation. A clash with the courts would only add to a crisis that is already underway, she stated, highlighting that many of Trump's executive orders appear to violate laws established by Congress. The implications of this unfolding crisis are profound, especially as challenges to Trump's actions are expected to make their way to the Supreme Court. A recent ruling from a federal judge indicated that the Trump administration had defied a court order, setting a concerning precedent for future interactions between the executive and judicial branches. The question remains whether the administration will respond similarly to any adverse Supreme Court rulings, further complicating the constitutional landscape. Adding to this contentious atmosphere is the involvement of figures like Vice President J.D. Vance, whose recent comments suggest a hostile stance towards judicial oversight. Vance's assertion that judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power reflects a broader trend among some officials in the administration to sidestep established legal frameworks. This confrontational approach raises fears of a constitutional crisis that could deepen if the administration continues to disregard legal rulings. The Supreme Court, now with a conservative majority, may face a challenging dilemma. While it could signal its independence by ruling against the administration's more extreme actions, such as attempts to deny citizenship to the children of immigrants, there are concerns that the court may shy away from confrontations that could prompt further defiance from the executive branch. Historical precedents illustrate the complexities of enforcing court rulings against a president who may choose to ignore them, as seen in past clashes over civil rights and federal authority. As the nation grapples with these issues, Trump's recent executive orders have also raised eyebrows beyond constitutional concerns. In a striking move, he signed an order empowering Elon Musk and his team to oversee significant cuts to the federal workforce, a decision that further consolidates power within the executive branch. The order outlines a plan for agencies to dramatically reduce staff while placing hiring authorities under Musk's control, effectively intertwining corporate interests with governmental functions. In parallel, discussions about the future of Ukraine's security have also emerged, with Trump signaling a willingness to negotiate a ceasefire in the ongoing conflict. Analysts caution that any peace agreement will require a robust international presence to deter further aggression from Russia. The prospect of European troops on Ukrainian soil is contentious, with many officials expressing skepticism about the feasibility and safety of such a deployment without clear American support. In conclusion, the convergence of domestic constitutional challenges and international security concerns underscores a pivotal moment for the United States. As legal scholars and political analysts continue to monitor the unfolding situation, the implications for democratic governance and international stability remain uncertain. The coming weeks may prove crucial in determining whether the foundations of the Constitution can withstand the pressures of executive overreach and whether global commitments to security can be effectively implemented in an increasingly complex geopolitical landscape. The outcome of these developments will likely shape not only the trajectory of the current administration but also the future of American democracy itself. In a world where personal relationships often intersect with family dynamics and social expectations, the complexities of human interactions can lead to a cascade of emotional responses in challenging situations. Recently, several columns from Carolyn Hacks and Eric published in The Washington Post delved into the intricate nuances of family and community relationships, highlighting how miscommunication and differing expectations can lead to misunderstandings and conflict. In one poignant column, Hacks addressed a scenario involving a mother-in-law who, despite her absence from family gatherings, was overheard making disparaging remarks about another grandmother. This incident raised questions about the role of family members who choose to distance themselves from family events while still engaging in gossip and criticism. Hacks emphasized the need for open communication, suggesting that the affected family members confront the mother-in-law about her comments in a constructive manner. It's essential to address these issues directly, Hacks remarked, underlining that avoiding confrontation may lead to deeper rifts within the family. Another column by Eric explored the sensitive topic of a sister's son who was struggling with what many refer to as a failure to launch. This term describes young adults who remain dependent on their parents well into adulthood, often due to a lack of motivation or clear direction. Eric's advice centered on the importance of approaching the sister with empathy and concern rather than judgment. It's crucial to frame the conversation around support, not criticism, he noted, advocating for a collaborative approach to address the underlying issues that may contribute to the young man's situation. Shifting gears from personal dilemmas to pressing global issues, a recent report detailed the evacuation of civilians from Russia to Ukraine following the bombing of a shelter in Kursk. This tragic event underscores the ongoing humanitarian crises exacerbated by geopolitical tensions. As families flee their homes in search of safety, the implications of such events ripple through both nations, raising questions about international response and support for displaced individuals. The urgency of these situations serves as a stark reminder of the real-world consequences of conflict and the need for compassion in addressing the needs of those affected. In a broader context, an analysis piece highlighted the blind spots in how technology policy is covered in the media. As technology continues to evolve at a rapid pace, the importance of informed discourse around its implications becomes increasingly critical. The analysis pointed out that many discussions overlook the nuances of policymaking, often failing to connect the dots between technological advancements and their societal impacts. A more comprehensive understanding of how these policies shape our lives is essential, the piece argued, advocating for greater attention to the intersection of technology ethics and public policy, as society grapples with both personal and global challenges. These discussions reflect a larger narrative about the importance of communication, understanding, and informed decision-making. Moving forward, it will be essential for families to engage in open dialogues, for communities to support one another through crises, and for media coverage to evolve in a way that accurately reflects the complexities of our modern world. The path ahead may be fraught with challenges, but through empathy and informed discourse there lies the potential for growth and resolution. In a significant turn of events, American detainee Mark Fogel has returned to the United States following his release from Russian custody. Fogel, a former teacher in Moscow, was apprehended in 2021 after authorities discovered hashish oil in his luggage, leading to a lengthy prison sentence. His case, often overshadowed by the more high-profile detentions of other Americans, gained renewed attention amid ongoing tensions between the U.S. and Russia, especially following the recent high-stakes diplomatic negotiations. Upon his arrival in the U.S., Fogel expressed immense relief, stating, "I am grateful to be home and look forward to reuniting with my family." His release comes at a time when American diplomats have been working tirelessly to secure the freedom of detained citizens abroad. In Fogel's case has become a symbol of the ongoing struggle for American rights and the complexities of international relations. Fogel's situation sheds light on the broader implications of U.S.-Russia tensions, particularly in the context of the Biden administration's foreign policy. The administration has faced criticism for its approach to international diplomacy, especially in dealing with authoritarian regimes. The release of Fogel could be seen as a small victory for U.S. diplomacy. Yet it also underscores the precarious position of American citizens traveling abroad in countries where legal systems can be unpredictable and punitive. As the U.S. grapples with inflation and economic recovery, the government's ability to protect its citizens abroad remains a critical concern. This intersection of personal rights, international diplomacy, and economic stability could shape future policy discussions as lawmakers and the public alike seek to understand the implications of such incidents on national security. Fogel's case is emblematic of a larger trend where American citizens find themselves caught in geopolitical strife. The recent inflation report, which has been underscored by economic analysts as particularly critical, hints at the broader economic landscape that could influence how the U.S. engages with foreign adversaries. As inflation remains a pressing issue, the administration's focus on protecting its citizens may need to adapt in response to economic pressures. Looking ahead, the implications of Fogel's release may ripple through ongoing diplomatic efforts and negotiations, especially as the U.S. continues to address the challenges posed by authoritarian regimes globally. As the geopolitical landscape evolves, the safety and rights of American citizens will likely remain at the forefront of U.S. foreign policy discussions, shaping the narrative of international diplomacy in a world that is increasingly complex and interconnected. In a world where natural gas prices are soaring, the European Union is considering implementing a temporary price cap on gas to mitigate the economic strain on its industries. Amidst a backdrop of rising energy costs that have recently reached their highest levels in over 2 years, the European Commission is exploring this potential solution as part of a broader strategy aimed at supporting the EU's heavy industries during a tumultuous period marked by external pressures, including aggressive U.S. trade policies and the bloc's ambitious green transition goals. Current market conditions are particularly challenging for European companies. Natural gas prices are reported to be 3 to 4 times higher than those in the United States, driven up by low temperatures and diminished renewable energy output due to insufficient wind. These escalating costs pose a significant competitive disadvantage for European businesses, prompting discussions among EU officials about the feasibility of a price cap as a part of a forthcoming Clean Industrial Deal policy document, which is expected to be unveiled next month. While the concept of a price cap has been revisited since its initial proposal during the 2022 energy crisis, when Russia's invasion of Ukraine severely disrupted gas supplies, there is considerable apprehension among industry stakeholders. 11 industry groups, including Europex and AFME, recently expressed their concerns in a letter to European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, warning that such a cap could undermine trust in the European energy market and potentially lead to a shift towards alternative pricing references located outside the EU. In response to these challenges, former European Central Bank President Mario Draghi has advocated for the establishment of dynamic caps that would allow for price adjustments during periods of significant divergence from global energy prices. 2 EU officials indicated that any proposed measures would also aim to prevent traders from artificially inflating prices during the summer months, as countries stockpile gas in preparation for winter. However, skepticism remains among certain EU member states, particularly Germany and the Netherlands, which opposed previous attempts at price capping. The ongoing discussions are further complicated by external pressures, including the need for the EU to secure sufficient energy supplies to counteract tariffs imposed by the United States under President Donald Trump's administration. Amid these developments, the global energy landscape is shifting. As the EU grapples with the implications of high gas prices and potential interventions, Brookfield Asset Management, one of the largest renewable energy investors, is seizing upon perceived market dislocations in the wake of Trump's push against green initiatives. The firm is actively searching for undervalued opportunities in the renewable sector, believing that the current market sentiment is overly pessimistic regarding sustainable energy investments. Brookfield's President Connor Teskey emphasized that the growing demand for electricity particularly from data centers, will sustain the need for renewable energy solutions regardless of political winds. In contrast, the Russian ruble is experiencing a surge against the US dollar, driven by the release of an American teacher, Mark Fogel, and rising energy prices that have bolstered Russia's export revenues. Analysts suggest that a potential thaw in US-Russian relations could further stabilize the ruble, which has rebounded significantly since the start of the year. Meanwhile, in Asia, Chinese tech stocks are entering a bull market, largely influenced by a breakthrough in artificial intelligence from the company DeepSeek. The Hang Seng Tech Index has risen over 25% in the past month, fueled by renewed investor interest and positive developments in the AI sector. This shift highlights a growing confidence in China's technology landscape. Despite challenges posed by US trade policies and internal economic pressures. As these narratives unfold across the globe, the EU's deliberations on gas price caps, Brookfield's strategic investments in renewables, the ruble's recovery, and the resurgence of Chinese tech stocks illustrate a complex interplay of market dynamics. Looking ahead, the outcomes of these developments could significantly reshape the energy and technology sectors, influencing investor strategies and geopolitical relations in the years to come. In an exclusive interview with The Guardian, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has issued a stark warning regarding the precarious state of Ukraine's security amid shifting political dynamics in the United States. As he prepares for what may be a pivotal diplomatic mission, Zelenskyy has underscored the critical role that American support plays in ensuring Ukraine's future, stating emphatically that security guarantees without America are not real security guarantees. Zelensky's remarks come at a time when U.S. foreign policy is under scrutiny, particularly with the potential return of Donald Trump to the White House. Trump's recent comments suggest a desire to end the conflict in Ukraine, yet skepticism persists about the implications of such a deal, especially if it involves compromising Ukraine's territorial integrity to appease Russian President Vladimir Putin. In his interview, Zelenskyy expressed a willingness to negotiate but emphasized the need for Ukraine to engage from a position of strength. As part of his strategy to bolster U.S. support, Zelenskyy announced plans to offer American companies lucrative contracts for the reconstruction of Ukraine post-conflict, aiming to align their economic interests with Ukrainian recovery efforts. Those who are helping us to save Ukraine will have the chance to renovate it, he stated, highlighting the potential for mutual benefit in the partnership. Zelenskyy is set to attend the Munich Security Conference, where he hopes to meet with key figures from Trump's administration, including Vice President J.D. Vance. Notably, Vance has been one of Trump's more skeptical advisors regarding ongoing support for Ukraine, raising concerns about the future of U.S. assistance. While Zelenskyy has not secured a meeting with Trump yet, he remains hopeful that discussions will materialize, indicating that plans are in motion for potential engagements in Washington. The urgency of the situation is underscored by Zelensky's concerns about the implications of a U.S. withdrawal from Ukrainian support. He referenced the critical role of U.S. military systems such as the Patriot air defense systems in defending Ukraine against Russian missile threats. "Only Patriot can defend us against all kinds of missiles," Zelenskyy stated, drawing a clear line between American military support and Ukraine's ability to safeguard its sovereignty. The prospect of a diplomatic resolution to the conflict, however, remains fraught with uncertainty. Trump's approach to negotiations has raised alarms, particularly the idea that Europe could assume responsibility for peacekeeping in Ukraine. Zelenskyy expressed skepticism about the viability of such a plan without substantial U.S. involvement, arguing that any peacekeeping force would need to be robust and backed by concrete security guarantees. As Zelenskyy navigates these complex diplomatic waters, he is acutely aware of the stakes involved. Without America, security guarantees cannot be complete, he reiterated, reflecting a broader understanding that Ukraine's reliance on U.S. support is critical not only for its immediate defense but also for its long-term stability and recovery. Looking ahead, the outcome of Zelenskyy's upcoming meetings in Munich and potentially in Washington could shape not only the future of Ukraine but also the dynamics of U.S.-European relations in the context of security and economic cooperation. As the global community watches closely, the interplay between American politics and Ukrainian sovereignty remains a focal point for determining the future of this embattled nation. In a surprising turn of events, New York Governor Kathy Hochul has halted a legislative initiative aimed at curbing Republican dominance in the House of Representatives. The proposed bill, which was poised for a vote, would have enabled a delay in a special election for a House seat vacated by Republican Representative Elise Stefanik. This decision has left many in the Democratic camp frustrated and raised questions about Hochul's strategic priorities as she navigates complex negotiations with former President Donald Trump regarding New York's congestion pricing program. The bill's potential passage was seen as a critical maneuver to diminish Republican influence in the House, particularly as the party currently holds a slim majority of 218 seats compared to the Democrats' 215. If enacted, it would have allowed Hochul to postpone the special election until November, depriving Republicans of a crucial vote during a pivotal time in Congress. Republicans who are gearing up to gain additional seats in upcoming special elections were quick to criticize the bill as an anti-democratic power grab. In private discussions, Hochul conveyed to state legislators that her motivations for postponing the bill stemmed from her desire to maintain leverage in negotiations with Trump regarding the controversial congestion pricing scheme set to toll vehicles entering Manhattan. The program, which aims to generate vital revenue for the state and the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, has been met with staunch opposition from Trump, who has threatened to use federal authority to dismantle it. During a recent interview, Trump labeled the program as destructive to New York, further complicating the relationship between the state and federal leadership. As Hochul's decisions unfold, they underscore the delicate balance of power and the high stakes involved in New York's political landscape. The halt of the special election bill raises concerns about the future representation for Stefanik's constituents, especially as Democrats signal their intent to compete vigorously in the traditionally Republican district. Party leaders have already rallied behind Blake Gendebian, a local dairy farmer, as their candidate, indicating a concerted effort to challenge Republican incumbency. Despite the setback, Democrats are adamant that their efforts are far from over. Representative Hakeem Jeffries, the top House Democrat, has been vocal in advocating for the bill and criticized Republicans for their reactionary stance. The underlying narrative reflects a broader struggle within the party dynamics as Democrats aim to capitalize on recent electoral losses in New York while Republicans remain resolute in defending their territory. With Hochul's intervention, the path forward for both parties remains uncertain. As negotiations continue with Trump over congestion pricing, the implications of this political chess game could reverberate far beyond New York, affecting legislative agendas at the national level. The coming weeks will likely reveal how these dynamics will shape the political landscape as both parties prepare for future elections, with the potential for significant shifts in power depending on the outcomes of ongoing negotiations and electoral contests.